Make some noise for your amazing host.
Hey everyone! Well, your truck is finally back up and running and you're ready to hit the road. I had to replace the spark plugs, repair the axle, and flush the engine. But don't worry, this one's on me. We want you to know that you're welcome back anytime. I know you're probably hoping to head out soon, but maybe you can stay for just a little longer and enjoy the campfire one more time. I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Coyote would love to see you before you go. Speaking of, let's see what Mr. Coyote is up to.
Coming up.
So it turns out we're about to get fired. Don't wander too far off. There's more off track right around the corner.
Well, ready or not, let's talk about what's coming up next. First, we will watch a pre-show video, then we will worship together, and then gather around the campfire together one last time. Before we head over, click the download button below this video to access your Get Real guide. Inside, you will find everything you need to stay on track during the week, including questions to think about and games to play. Let's go ahead and check out the next video.
Welcome back, everybody. We are so excited to be reading two letters from two sisters named Catherine and Isa. And we also have some balloons that we're gonna have to open up to see what is inside. Right here on Mail Time.
All right, let's go ahead and jump right into these letters. And they come all the way from the great state of Michigan.
Yeah.
You ever been there in the winter?
It's hot. Is it cold?
They would say otherwise.
Okay.
All right, so this first one, we've got this amazing illustration of Louis' letter. It says, "Dear Sandals Church kids, my name is Catherine and I am 9 years old. I love watching your videos. Do you think I could be on Mail Time?" Well, Catherine, congrats. You're here. You've made it. You are on Mail Time. This is your drawing, your letter, right here, live on Mail Time. This is amazing.
You need to jump into this one.
Okay, so this looks like it is probably from Mom, and here is what it says. "Dear Sandals Church kids, thank you so much for all of your efforts to develop hearts of praise in our kids. Whether it's my toddler dancing during your worship songs or hearing my big kids singing them throughout the day, it is such a beautiful thing to know that my children are loving to worship our God. I pray for blessings for your ministry and trust that the Lord will continue to use you for His glory and the joy of His children. Thank you again for all you do. Love, Lindsay, and also Catherine, Itza, and Clyde." Thank you so much. Notes like this are so encouraging. We are so grateful that we get to do what we get to do here at Sandals Church Kids, and we love hearing that your kids are enjoying it and that they are growing in their relationship with the Lord and love worshiping. That's so, so awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Agreed. Okay, so this letter is from Itza. Okay, this is taking it to the next level. I'm not kidding. This is also a drawing of Louis' letter.
Love it.
But with the Cookie Monster eyes, the googly eyes.
So fun.
I love that.
I've yet to see that
so
yet.
Awesome. I have not seen that yet, yeah. Dear Sandals Church kids, I'm 7 and almost 8. Very awesome. I love watching your videos. They're so much fun. I love the songs too. Wow, Itza, I love this drawing. This is so fun. Very creative. And thank you so much for sending it in.
All right, Mr. Coyote, we are at the place. We've got these 3 balloons. It's worse when you close your eyes, because at least when you're watching, you know when the pop's gonna happen.
Oh, okay, so this first one is from Emily. And Emily wrote, "I love you," with a sun and a heart. Emily, thank you for sending this our way.
All right, this next one, we've got this super awesome red and green house. And
I love this character.
We've got our happy face character right here, looking so excited to be drawing this house and coloring on orange paper. Why wouldn't you be happy? This is awesome. I love this.
Okay, and this one is also from Emily.
Emily.
How is that possible?
That is impressive.
This one's from Emily. It's from the future. It's from future Emily. And she says, "I love Sandals kids again."
Whoa,
Okay,
there's
Emily.
a lot of love wrapped up.
I bet that there's like also a secret message in here because they're very similar, but she chose like a aqua color here and a white color here.
Interesting.
Emily, you have us confused, but that's okay.
But in the best possible way.
In the best way, yeah.
And if you are sitting there right now and you are watching this video.
I know I am.
And you're going, I want a letter on mail time. There are 2 ways you can do it. The first one is you can mail us a letter using the address Sandals Church Kids, 150 Palmerita Avenue, Riverside, California, 92507, or the quickest way to reach us with your drawings, your questions, your pictures, whatever it is you want to send is by emailing us at mail@sandalskids.com. However you want to do it, we love hearing from you. That's the best way you can reach us. We can't wait to get your letters, and we'll see you next time right here on Mail Time.
You know what time it is. It's time to worship. Today, we're talking about how God is always at work in our life, so that means we can choose to be ready for God to use us. Being ready for God to use us means that we know what the Bible says, and it means that we regularly spend time in prayer. It also means we share real things in community with our friends, parents, leaders, teachers, and other people who care for us. We can also be ready for the things that God wants us to do in our lives by worshiping Him. When we fully worship without worrying about those around us and we sing unapologetically, God works in us to be ready for all the things He's going to do. So let's stand up and worship together.
People look at the outside of a person, 'cause he cares about us. Oh, God doesn't listen when it's justice in the end. So be nice to your friends. God doesn't listen when God doesn't listen when. Oh, God doesn't listen when.
As we gather around the campfire today, we're talking about a story called Queen Esther and the Queen Plea from the Bible in Esther chapter 2 through 8. We'll learn how God gives people who turn away from him the fair justice they deserve, as well as undeserved hope for their future. This week, we'll see how God is always at work in our lives, and that means we can choose to be ready for God to use us. Warm your hands by the fire in 3, 2, 1.
It looks like the time is finally here. You guys are all packed up. You're ready to head out on the road again. Being stuck is no fun, but I am so glad that you guys got stuck here with us in Hope Falls. Oh, but before you go, do you guys have time for one more story? Okay, awesome. All right, I want you guys to imagine if you were on the playground at school one day. You were playing soccer with your friends, you were eating your fruit at halftime, and you were minding your own business when one of your friends accidentally kicks the soccer ball way off the field. So you go get it, you run past some bushes on your way, and suddenly you overhear two of the meanest bullies in school talking about you and your friends. Well, they don't notice, so you keep listening in, and you hear that they're planning on stealing all of your backpacks after school. Well, how would you feel? What would you do? Did you know that something even more crazy than that happened in the Bible to a woman named Queen Esther? Now, you really can't leave without hearing this story first. It's absolutely wild, so buckle up and I'll tell you all about it. Okay, so last week we left off in our story when Daniel was faithful to God, even if it meant that he might lose his life to a den full of hungry lions, and then how God miraculously saved him. Now remember, God had brought judgment or consequences to the Israelites by allowing them to be taken into captivity by the people of Babylon. The Babylonians forced the Israelites to move far away from home, where they were not free to live the way that they wanted. This was called the exile, and it was a very difficult time for the Israelites, and it lasted 70 years. So we pick up in our story about 100 years after the exile with a group of Israelites, also called Jews, who lived in a very far away place called Persia. So once there was a beautiful Jewish woman named Esther who won a beauty contest and became the queen of Persia. Her uncle was named Mordecai, keep track, and he was an important man who worked in the palace of King Xerxes, the king of Persia. So Uncle Mordecai had even saved the king's life from a plot to kill him. Well, Queen Esther and Uncle Mordecai had it pretty good. But one day, a man named Haman, who was one of King Xerxes' powerful men, asked the king for a favor. So Haman wanted to force everyone in Persia to show him respect by bowing down to him. So King Xerxes agreed, and everyone had to bow to evil Haman. But Uncle Mordecai refused to bow to evil Haman. This made evil Haman very mad, so he made a plan to not only kill Uncle Mordecai, but also every Jew in Persia. This meant all of God's people, the Jews, aka the Israelites, would be killed. The Jews had been through so much during the exile, and now they were scared that they'd be killed by evil Haman. they probably wondered if God was even with them anymore. But let's see how God is still faithful and works behind the scenes to save the Jewish people from evil Haman. Queen Esther and Uncle Mordecai found out about evil Haman's evil plan to kill the Jews. They were sad and terrified of what would happen, so they came up with a plan to save all the Jewish people in Persia. Queen Esther would have to go to King Xerxes and convince him to stop evil Haman's plan. Well, the problem was, if Queen Esther went to the king without being invited by him, she could be killed. Queen Esther knew all her people would die if she didn't try to save them. But she also knew that she might die if she defied the king's wishes. So she went to King Xerxes. And can you imagine what Queen Esther was thinking as she walked up to King Xerxes? She was probably so anxious. Her heart would have been pounding and she probably would have been praying so hard. So as Queen Esther made her way up, King Xerxes saw her and was happy with his wife. So he not only let her live, but said he would give her whatever she wanted. Queen Esther asked the king to come to her banquet or her big party. Queen Esther threw the banquet for King Xerxes and her powerful enemy, evil Haman. She bravely told King Xerxes about evil Haman's plan to kill her people and asked him to stop it. King Xerxes was furious at evil Haman. How dare he try to kill Queen Esther and Uncle Mordecai? The king killed evil Haman and made an order to save all the Jews. Then King Xerxes remembered how Uncle Mordecai had once saved his life. So he gave Queen Esther and Uncle Mordecai everything evil Haman once had and put them in charge of his entire kingdom. Talk about drama. This story is full of major twists and turns, and there's even more to the story than the part that I just told you. I challenge you to read the book of Queen Esther this week to see what I mean. The interesting part of this story is that God isn't mentioned at all, but it is still so clear that he is at work in Queen Esther and Uncle Mordecai's life. I mean, think about it. He made Queen Esther the most beautiful so she would become the queen. And then he helped Uncle Mordecai save the king's life. And then he made King Xerxes happy with Queen Esther so that he would listen to her plea to save the Jews. He made sure that evil Haman would be given justice. And he made King Xerxes give everything to Queen Esther and Uncle Mordecai at the end of the story. God may have not been mentioned, but he was definitely present all throughout the story. And it's the same in our lives. God is working behind the scenes in ways we may not even see or realize. And if we pay attention, we can see all the ways that God has worked in our lives for our good. And that's why the one thing to remember is that God is always at work in our lives.
God working in our lives reminds me of how firefighters get ready. Did you know that part of firefighter training is learning how to get dressed? But it's not getting dressed in normal clothes, it's getting dressed in their turnouts or firefighter gear. Now I have my buddy Trent here, who is a real firefighter. Come on in, Trent. How you doing today?
Good.
You're doing good. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your gear here? It's called turnout?
Yeah, so it's basically turnouts. They help you stay safe in a fire so you don't get any burns or anything when you're inside of a fire fighting fire.
Yeah, okay, it looks super sturdy, but it also looks very heavy.
Yeah.
How much does that thing weigh?
At least 10 pounds.
Okay, awesome. And I noticed that like you have gloves here on the side, and you have your boots and your helmet. But I also noticed that Trent has an awesome badge here.
I do.
That is so awesome. What's animals on the top?
It's a bear for the state of California.
Okay, the California bear. Yeah. So what made you want to be a firefighter, Trent?
I just wanted to be able to work with my hands, be outside and help people. Yeah. I wanted to make a difference in my community.
I love that. Okay, so you actually, when you are getting ready to go out, you actually have had to practice putting on your gear as fast as possible, right? Like, why is that important? Why is it important to be able to do it fast?
You have to be ready at all times in case something happens, you get a call.
When you're trained, how fast can you actually put these on?
Probably about 40 seconds.
Under a minute?
Yep.
Did you guys hear that? It takes me like an hour to put my clothes on. You can get all of this in under a minute?
Yeah.
Can I like test you right now?
Absolutely.
Okay, So he's gonna get ready. I want you guys to count in your head. I'm gonna count 2, and we're gonna see how fast Trent can put his turnouts on. You ready? Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, he actually has to take his shoes off. I didn't know that. Okay, he's taking his shoes off, putting those boots on. Oh, yes. Look at that. Oh, pants on pants. Double pants. Okay, he's got his gloves, his belt buckle. That's snapped. Okay, jacket's going on. Ooh, oh, flashlight. I didn't see that. Ooh, okay. Keeping that on like it went around your thumb. And he's going for the zipper. He's going for the zipper. You guys keeping count? So good. Oh, and snaps too. Buckles, 4 buckles. You tell me, is that it?
That's it.
That is time. Trent, that was awesome. 36 seconds. That was like the fastest I have ever seen it. Thank you for showing us how it is done.
Absolutely.
So good. Guys, being ready like a firefighter is the same with our faith. God uses people who are ready to be used by Him. So how can we be ready for God to use us? Well, first, we need to know about God and what He has already told us He wants us to do. We can do that by regularly reading the Bible. We don't have to read a huge amount either, just a little bit every day. We can also pray and ask God how He wants to use us. When we are always praying, it makes it easy for the Holy Spirit to show us what to do. And lastly, we can choose to be brave and take steps of faith even if they are hard or scary, just like Queen Esther did in our story today. That's why our action step for today is that we can choose to be ready for God to use us.
Hey, my name is Sarah, and I want to tell you about a time I chose to be ready for God to use me. When I was little, my family moved around a lot, and 3 different states, a bunch of different schools, and we moved every 2 years. I was continually starting over at a new school and having to make new friends, and it was really hard, and I did not always have the best attitude. I would get frustrated with my parents and even angry with God because I didn't know why things had to change all the time. I didn't want to keep leaving my friends and having to start over. Sometimes when we moved, it was really hard to make new friends, and now it was really hard to sit by myself at lunch and try to find someone to play with at recess. I remember my mom praying with me before school that I would make new, good friends and fit in, and guess what? God did bring me new friends, but I didn't forget those hard feelings. And when I was new, I knew I never wanted anyone else to feel that way either. I started to pray that God would open my eyes to people who were hurting or lonely, and that God would show me how I could help them. I remember writing in my journal asking God to use me and show me what He wanted me to do with my life. One year at the beginning of the school year, I was brand new and I was so nervous. I went out to the playground and I was really anxious about what my day would look like. I looked around and I saw another girl standing all by herself, so I decided to walk over to her. And I found out that it was her first day at that school too. And her name was also Sarah. She didn't know anyone either, so I decided we should obviously be best friends. We ate lunch together, did our homework together, and guess what? Neither one of us felt lonely anymore. Sometimes it's hard to see in the moment how God's working. It's hard to see what we're going through and understand that God has a plan for us. If I hadn't experienced those feelings of loneliness and not looked to God for guidance, I would not have been able to see what my friend Sarah was going through. Because I had asked God to open my eyes to other people who felt lonely, I was prepared to be Sarah's friend and show her the love God had shown me. And guess what? Just like me with Sarah, you can choose to be ready for God to use you too.
I know we met because you got a little off track, but I'm so glad you did right here in Hope Falls, and you are always welcome back. Now, before you go, let's take a look at the memory verse one last time and say it with me. Also, I will teach you to respect me completely. I will put a new way to think inside you. I will take out the stubborn heart like stone from your bodies, and I will give you an obedient heart of flesh. That's from Ezekiel 36:26. We saw in our story how God worked in the life of Queen Esther to save the Jewish people in Persia. That's why the one thing to remember is that God is always at work in our lives, and that means that we can choose to be ready for God to use us. You can live out the vision of being real with yourself, God, and others by opening up your Get Real guide to the Now What. This week, get ready the night before. Set out your clothes you will wear, make your lunch, get your backpack organized, or whatever else you need to do to be prepared for the next day before you go to bed. How does it feel knowing you are ready to go tomorrow? Probably pretty good. Did you know that you can get ready for God to use you? You don't have to set anything out, but you can get your heart ready by reading the Bible, praying, and obeying what He asks you to do. It's been such a great time hanging out with you and having you as guests here at Hope Falls. Subscribe to us at youtube.com/SandalsKids for bonus content and join us next week for something brand new.